Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Ladder. This is Cat Demon 43 and it has been a while. It has been a while since I've actually done a recording, so a little out of practice. I've been trying to test some things, mainly of which, if you guys remember me making my little tirade about not being able to record for Ruby, well, I think I might have found a way around it, and it involves using my cell phone. So you guys will be seeing my face and all that other fun stuff, so there's that. And I'm also going to be doing a recording of another Let's Play of a different game later today, so I'm not sure if there'll be much editing on that, but we will see. Yeah, a lot of things that took place in the last episode. Luke is a jerk. And I have a feeling too, if Marianne had, gone through with it, it would have drastically changed certain things within this game, I think. So, yeah. But anyway, I have a job to do. Yay! It feels really weird being back into this game, I gotta say, after not recording for a while because of a bunch of stuff was happening. And yeah, anyway, I can save all that stuff for later, or I'm probably gonna forget, which I tend to forget. I often forget. I'm sorry. Anyway, it isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after meeting with the Wrights yesterday, really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Oh, yeah. Okay. Because first off, fucking damn whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Right. See, I told you. You're gonna meet him again. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. Yeah. What sort of person does that? Rich people who think they own the world? I don't know.
Ugh, rich people.
Exactly. I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept any other small projects. This is a big job, and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. Sure about that? I have a headache whenever I do, anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. Yeah. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. Well, it's quiet. You might get some interesting books for this project you're working on. So there's that. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad. Oh, he is alive. Okay. Plus, I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Oh, okay. Also, that picture on her desk, I believe that is indeed her dad. So, yeah. Oh, he's alive still. I wonder if you see him in the game. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxbourne too. Hopefully cool off. Can't read today. After returning the... Oh gosh, okay. Erzuli? Yeah. in a poetry book by Henry of Brandy. Fudge. I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. Oh. I make headway at least when I ask about Siege and rendition of Havana by Jacobo de Pizzula. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead, though I'd wager a guess that's Red's just passing by to get the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing how many wonderful titles give me great pleasure. Same for me. And that's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
It's not the naval battle book I was looking for. No, it was even better. A History of Luxembourg Architecture, first edition. Ooh, that's good. The newly acquired History of Luxembourg Architecture, first edition too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on this book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches out for it at the same time I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
Ah, haha. Hi, Rebecca. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. Nope. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks, and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
Ha! Oh, this is great.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Well, she is a teacher. To be honest, though, I mean, if it's a history of a place you live in and you really want to know about the history, you're gonna look into it as much as possible. So, and plus she seems like that anyway. She really just seems to enjoy history as well. I'm not sure if it's because of her parents, because they're both professors, or it's just something she likes as well for herself. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway. Well, probably a few.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
I love learning me some history. This is great. Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth, in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into a strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
This is great. Oh my god, I love this. By then, we had forgotten about our little tug of war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, Saint Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students. I feel like I need to Google this later.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but then there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure. But it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things.
Oh god.
Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it.
Okay. I think I know why Rebecca's here. Oh, swizzle sticks. Alright. She's looking into the mansion herself after hearing Isabella talk about the mansion before. Oh boy. At least that's my guess. I'm probably wrong, but... Oh, lordy Lou. Okay.
Now that is beautiful architecture.
It is, but there's a ghost there. A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within a year, when what I have is just as functional? This is true. This is very true, and it also makes me just recall the whole issue with iPhones. Luckily, I don't have one, but still, I mean, the heck, that's not cool. And I mean, like, it's like the phrase, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, if you guys go onto my Instagram, you'll see some photos I had taken of the old TV and the new TV that we just, an old TV we had just replaced. And it is like the big, bulky kind of TVs. The ones from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s type. So, yeah, pretty big, very heavy. So, yeah, I mean, it's really, I guess it's a complex kind of thing, because a lot of people are all into about the new technology and everything, and I'm like, that's great, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy $1,000 phone when I've got one phone that is totally perfectly fine. Now, if this phone breaks or something, then I will go and get a new one, but until then, nah, sticking with what I got. I'm good. The traditional ways had a far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention, those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. They are indeed. But so are other things. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside, only to have their eyes glued to to the things. And fuck touch screens. Oh my god. They're evil things that make typing what should be a simple task harder. Yeah.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before she's standing up and excusing herself. Off farther into the aisles she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Belle, is something wrong?
Yep.
Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
Both how quiet the surrounding is. She can't blame me if I overhear snippets of our conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has been cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Oh, she's embarrassed. Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding onto the history of Luxborn architecture. I don't give her time to think about it, as I put a hand up and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag, along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her own number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, or a little pop quiz, if you can call it that, made the time pass by without any of us even realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I am not sure there is a book called that, though if there was one, I'm sure many people would be trying to get it, because there are a lot of them out there. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, and rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. Oh yeah, eat the entire giant cake. It seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time, as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything.
Back when you were alive. This hurts. I like Rose. Rose is great. Why'd you have to die? Damn it.
But I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents.
Yay.
Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they get through the process so fast? Surely, there is so many red tape to even acquire the forms in transferring of rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. Oh, that's cute. That's adorable. Gosh dang it. Rebecca looks really cute. Marianne befriended Rebecca Gales during a visit to the library. Marianne received a call from Rose Cooper afterwards, informing her that the Ermengarde Mansion's floor plans were ready for pickup at their office. As it looks like I'm the one on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquise de Sade, The Crime of Love. Love? Ugh. Since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again, when I don't have the time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquise sound advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Buyer Realty Corporation's Luxbourne branch isn't too far from the city center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there will be so much to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Yay! It's more original. Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I am quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do despite how it is frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list we have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but it is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should be back already, if they aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy, too, and be working on a weekend. But they're still on the clock, and no bumming out, wasting company time on extending lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is suspicious, as it is with two big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 mere cubicle. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Porzakova Projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that, though. Everything is quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. So no, why would you say that? Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door, looking like as if she had just seen one. Yeah, she did. She looks at me wide-eyed, like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Oh, Isabella.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches, and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. Hey! You probably have your nose stuck in... Wow! Marianne, the hell? You probably have your nose stuck in front of the smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless, addictive games. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Bat-Cat thingy during work hours, too. Bat-Cat! I wonder if... Is that an actual game?
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint.
See? Huh. That's what you get for labeling.
Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Hallway, theater. Checking out the floor plans, I see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West Building floor plans from that one movie. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobin style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's some rather odd ones about the... something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem, and it is an old house.
There has been little details here and there, and I would have liked to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos's incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think of what sort of repairs they did to that place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms, and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all. And if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, there's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nests there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. You have something to say? I'll give her time to speak up. Oh wow, it went up. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. Dude, that was just an incident that took place. For all you know, she's really good at her job. She's been doing it for years to support her family. Who lives overseas, by the way. She has a big family. I didn't doubt, then, why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion, despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she is at that moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she should be still in college. Acts a bit like it too, when I think about it. I thought she was a teen, slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the state agents handling the property.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet, here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Maybe I took it a bit too far. She bites her cheek, and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there. It makes me wonder what brought it on. Although it's understandable, if her reason's what I think it is, very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset with it, with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was years of unemployment, the recession and the toil it took in the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else, her family. But the world isn't a fair place. No, it is not. And the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with the forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
Oh,
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh.
thank you for bringing it a little bit to a lighter thing.
I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
That is true.
It's not that simple.
And that is also true if you knew more about Isabella's family life.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid.
Uh-oh.
Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
Still up, though. Strained air settles in the room afterwards. Okay. Marianne visited BRC to pick up the floor plans. She was assisted by Isabella Santos, and the two shared a brief talk about art, which ended with Marianne leaving a piece of advice to Isabella. Yeah, it is, her advice is harsh, but it's true. So, I can see it from both sides. Marianne seems very much the type of being very blunt with what she says. She doesn't smooth stuff over. So, yeah. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave, as she is said, lingering awkwardly by the door with a downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail it out of the realty office as quick as I can. Though I am able to keep myself professional at all times does not mean I like it. And seeing the most of the day has already gone before I've realized it, I choose to head back to my flat instead. Despite today being a Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest of the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the day before last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they want high-end appliances and the most expensive materials that the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it won't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself to make sure that I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm saved from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The Wrights lived at the very top. The penthouse, the creme de la creme when it comes to condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks, to just secure a key card. Not only because of the building management, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime, and not visiting a client at their home. Even when their personal assistant called to help out and verify my presence, the process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speak of the devil. The elevator door opens and I am greeted by none other than Whiskey's not-so-little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And Only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
He shows me the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people didn't like him. Accepting the quiet isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In that case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes or even 10. I sit there in their living room, just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least their silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spill the tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man in the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. What should I do then? Oh, swizzle sticks. Okay. I don't want to check. It's really, I mean, you're in a guest house. It could be anything. Nah. Continue waiting. I have no business with it. These rich people usually value their privacy above all else, after all. Unless, of course, they're posting pictures on social media bragging about what good people they are for allowing themselves to be interviewed for some magazine. And again, the whole reason I'm in this mess is because I don't give two shits about what goes on with people like them. And I'm not going to get caught snooping about and being accused of some imagined wrongdoing. I'm not going to be some busybody detective if wannabe and run off to investigate whatever that was. It's probably just some mundane anyway, like a lamp falling over. Just going to sit here and wait for Mrs. Wright with my tea in complete silence.
Could I at least put the telly on?
I don't really expect him to answer. If he hadn't heard the crash, I doubt he would have heard me.
As long as you don't watch some silly soap opera. The LBC News would be fine. The William Walker show is on too, if you prefer that. Not that I watch it, but my husband does.
Yeah, your husband. I really want to meet Johan's husband.
The remote is under the coffee table.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch the doc on. I heard they're having reruns of the classics, and I want to see the second meet sixth in Spain. If not, just the news then.
Are you talking about Doctor Who? Is that a Doctor Who reference? Ah, love Doctor Who.
Thank you. I'll let you get on with your cooking now.
He did just ignore the crash a while ago, then. Whatever. Fetching the remote, I turn on the TV in hopes of filling the silence. Trying to, anyway, because the thing won't turn on. And does that make the silence more awkward or what? I know I might not be the best with tech, but I'm sure I can work a simple television remote.
The batteries must be dead.
The fuck?! What the fuck is that?! Oh my god! Ah! Oh god, that scared me! I thought we were gonna see something on the news! Oh god! There's blood everywhere. Help me, it says in red. I look at my own hands and find them clean, yet I can see my grisly reflection gaping back at me. And though there is nothing staining my skin, I can't feel the sticky and warm feeling of blood dripping down my cheeks. I should be worried. Instead, I feel my attention drawn towards her. Wait, that's... Okay, that's not Hannah, and that's not the ghost. There's another ghost? Is Marianne being haunted by somebody else entirely? What? What? Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips, with skin so fair and swaying hips. I want nothing more than to hold her, to plant my lips on her cheek and run my fingers through her hair. She laughs and smiles when she looks at me, but where are her eyes? Temptation is gone in an instant, and I recoil, horrified at this reflection I am seeing, only to back into something, or rather, someone. Fuck. Okay, it's Miss Wright. Hi! Miss Wright stands there, twirling a lock of her blonde hair. There, a soft smile on her lips, and a hand on her hip. I almost back away, but I ground and remind myself that this is my client. And whatever I just saw, well, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that perhaps I'm going a bit daft. It would be preferable, of course, to think that all the trick of the light, or the makings of an overactive imagination.
Good morning, Mrs. Wright. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Have you been standing there long?
No, I just came down and saw you were having a hard time with the telly. We must have forgotten to change the batteries. Are you all right, dear? You're looking a bit pale.
I think Marianne is being haunted by another ghost, who I think might be her girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, or something, or... I don't know.
Haven't you had breakfast yet?
Probably not.
No, I'm fine. I had breakfast already, Mrs. Wright. I just need...
Well then, you mustn't have had enough breakfast. I'm all for a good diet, but that's the most important meal of the day. Johans is cooking up pancakes. Pancakes will make anyone feel better, he always says. We can sit down and tuck in. You'll feel right as rain once we get some fluffy, syrupy goodness in you. And are you sure you're fine, Marianne? You're shaking.
I look down at my hands. I can see them trembling. Really, just because she looks so much like her, I'm becoming a damn train wreck. I've been seeing her in my dreams and hearing her voice ever since I met Mrs. Wright at the mansion. There's so many blondes in the world. What was different with her? What was different this time?
I just remembered something, that's all. It's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it did go up. Okay.
Are you sure? I am all ears if there is something bothering you. I don't mind a good story, and I don't want it to affect your work performance.
Gossipy wagon, isn't she? She should just leave you alone. It's not like you need her.
The fuck?
You don't have to worry about that, Mrs. Wright. I say business stays business, and anything else can stay in the doghouse until I'm done with work.
I just have to bear through it, don't I? If I tell her that I'm hearing voices, that'd be a fast track straight to the nut house. What else can I do? Saint Defina, help me, lest I become like her father, Damien, insane at the thought of a lost love and mad in the pursuit of another.
Shall we talk about your work then?
If you'd like. It's on your time, after all.
I've been told many good things about you, and I've seen some of your work before. Others speak very highly of your work etiquette. Yet I've never heard of you before, not even a whisper of the McCullough name.
Well, I've only been in Luxbourne for 4 years. Tried to make it big in London for nearly 3 years before. And I've only been working these high-quality projects for the past year.
I stick straight to the point. It's best to be brief when talking to clients, after all. Keep it clean cut as much as possible. Yet at the same time, I have to make it engaging, so it doesn't look like I don't want to talk to them.
I imagine it hasn't been easy. I can't see why you've moved from London to Luxbourne, though.
Job vacancies were fewer at the time, and I had a lot of competition in London. Let's not even talk about the living costs there.
Yeah, London's pretty expensive.
But I'm glad I moved here, even if it hadn't been smooth sailing. If I had it easy, I probably wouldn't be working projects like these.
Why even bother explaining to her? She won't understand. She's practically born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
What the heck is this?
The woman could probably snap her fingers and have servants attending to her beck and call.
She does look the part of a spoiled heiress, doesn't she? It would be a relief if she was just that. Something that's different from Mrs. Wright and her. Before she can get another word in, words that may have proven me wrong or right, she looks up to the loft with a fond expression on her face. With just a simple glance, she can put in so much love that I feel a tad bit jealous for whoever holds it.
Good morning, Luke, darling.
Good morning, ladies. What a wonderful morning it is, that I wake up to such a beautiful sight.
Oh, God, okay. Hold on. The fuck still? Okay. Marianne visited the Wrights' penthouse to discuss work with the couple. While waiting for them, as she tried to turn on the telly, she got a glimpse of her horrifying past. Hannah Wright soon showed up, and asking a very spooked Marianne if she was feeling well. No. And I think because we chose him to shut the fuck up and drink tea, that he's not all Mr. Grumpy Grump, I hope.
I do hope you two are getting along. I smell pancakes. I do hope you two are considering a diet just so I can have them all to myself.
Don't be a pig, Luke. You eat all of those and you might stop fitting into your tight suits.
This is weird seeing him so happy. I'm used to him grumpy.
What? I'm not a pig.
Oh my god.
You don't think I'm a pig, do you, Marianne?
With his saucy smile and playful wink, I can't help but think you're a bit of a pig, Whiskey.
I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm an interior designer, not a zoologist.
The only styles she must be familiar with are statement of works.
Well, don't be a bore. You two might not be in a rush, but I'm going to go ahead and feast.
If you dawdle too long, he'll hog all the syrup.
Rich people are so eccentric.
Come on then, we can discuss business over food.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it's too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Oh, those pancakes look good! Now I want pancakes. No! Stop tempting me with pancakes! Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, fruits, syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making a colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancakes, topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
What? Oh, right, at the beginning of the game. No.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blended with the rest of the decor.
I like her style of taste. It's really... I mean, modern and classic doesn't really go together unless you're able to blend it. So, yeah.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
I stop. What sort of halfback designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Where's the master's bedroom again? Ah. Yeah.
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts.
But why is it there?
Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Yeah, that is weird.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
I don't know where this study is. If anyone can point out the study for me... Oh. Wait. There it is, I think. Yeah, that's the second bedroom, and then there's the study. Okay, never mind. I found it. Took a minute.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
Neither did I.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
He plays the piano.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest in which Mrs. Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theatre, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Well... Mrs. Wright has her points, though. I really don't want to butt into the spat of a husband and wife. But with the way the two were looking at me to settle this, I might as well just keep to the facts instead of giving opinion.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough cost of these things by now, love.
She is very impressive.
Masters in Business Administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
Ooh. That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Luxbourne U, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know. We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much choice, do I? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call it here. So, the mansion's arrangements were discussed over breakfast during the meeting with the Wright couple. The Wright couple had an argument about the mansion's arrangements. In the end, they decided a visit will settle it. Okay. It was a long episode. But, oh my gosh! That thing TV. That thing with the TV got me. So, I have questions, but I'm gonna wait and see where it goes as I continue playing this game. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you'll let me know what you think. So until the next time, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful night, day, week, whenever, and I'll see you guys next time. Scat Demon 43. And I'll see you guys later. Bye!